Okay.
And I see the speaker. Yeah.
You can see me.
I can see Andrew.
But you can control your own screens. Look at the top of your screen and you'll see different options, a speaker view, a gallery view, and various other options. I think I'm just making sure I've got everyone in the meeting.
Okay.
Hi, Andrew, it's Harriet.
I'm just looking for your picture. I think you must be in the next window. It's a bit tricky to see everyone. Hi, Harriet.
Andrew.
Hi, Harry. Good morning, Andrew.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Hi,
Good,
hi everyone.
You.
Hi.
Good.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew, good morning. This is Kathy. I'm not on camera, but it seems to have got my name up as Herbie for some reason.
Yeah. Herbie. Well, I can think of worse names.
Anyway, it's Kathy Fulton.
Yes. Well, welcome, Kathy, alias Herbie.
I don't know how that happened. When I went to sign in, it said Herbie, so I'll have to have a look at that.
When you sign in, you should be able to read.
Herbie, I can see you. Yes, Herbie.
Yeah. Never mind, I'm here. I can join in.
I can see some of you have muted yourself, which is fine. If you want to unmute yourself, you click on the microphone at the bottom of the screen. Otherwise, you won't be able to talk.
Can you hear me? I'm Cecile.
I can hear you, Cecile, yes.
Thank you. Then I'm not mute.
I think we'll just leave it another 3 minutes.
Morning, Andrew. I'm Harry.
Hi, Harry. Hi, I'm just looking for you. I'm glad you managed to get on all right. Did you, Harry?
Harry sits next to me.
Yeah.
I got on quite easy. Follow the system you taught me.
Okay. Let me just say an introductory comment, which is not terribly important, but last week I had quite a few comments that there was a bit too much noise in the background. I really want this to be a bit of a gathering, so I want to allow people to talk like they are now. But when I do the slideshow, I'm going to mute everyone for a period of time, because if you're talking to someone in your house and there's someone else there, then we can all hear. So it can be a bit distracting. So I am going to mute everyone periodically.
Yes, please, because I've got a parrot that I can't keep quiet.
Yeah, well, yeah, parrots are quite.
Don't worry, I've got chickens.
You've got chickens. But I apologize for muting everyone, but it was quite a distraction at times. And my dog barked as well, which I've now thrown my dog out the house. Hopefully it won't bark today. Some of you are still muting yourself. I see Don Colley, Gail Winfield, Edith Reynolds. There are quite a few. As long as you can, I can't unmute you if you've muted yourself, I don't think.
Okay. So you're
that's
ready
fine.
to listen.
All right.
I'm not sure if I'm muted or not.
Andrew, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know who you are. There you are. Betty, is it?
Yes. Just checking that you can hear me and I can hear you.
Well, as long as you can turn the sound up if you can't hear me.
Okay.
Which is on your computer. It looks a bit like a loudspeaker, and one goes plus and one goes minus. But you might have to use the function key as well to make the sound go up.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, are we all we're ready?
If you can't hear him, make it louder, use the function key.
All right, we're ready to start, and we're going to start with a fun video. And the fun video today is, if you, all of us which are with a UK background will understand some of the fun of this. It's a Blackadder one, and it's probably very appropriate after Brexit. So let me go into share screen, and then we'll put on the fun video. Share screen, screen 2. But hang on, share computer sound. I want to mute all. Hang on.
To look at this. You want
Just
to?
want to,
No,
yeah, I must just let people in. Okay, I'm going to mute all and then we'll play this. I can still hear you even though I've muted all. Let me try again, mute all.
Okay.
Reiki. Yeah. I heard him now, can't tell him.
So how do we beat the odds here and still open up the economy? If people continue to be strict about social distancing and wearing masks, as well as washing their hands regularly, could that help beat these?
maybe not talking yet.
It absolutely could help.
It's all quiet.
Still quiet.
Andrew?
Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't shared this share. Hang on. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, I made a mistake here.
Congratulations. What a terrific performance. Many, many congratulations. What an exciting night that must be. So, ladies and gentlemen, something rather different. Tonight we are celebrating a great British tradition. And tradition is something we do very well in Britain. Some of our noblest families go back many, many centuries, and some popped over from Germany a lot more recently. Perhaps our oldest and most celebrated family of all is the Blackadder dynasty. And now, representing the current generation of malcontents, please welcome from Her Majesty's Royal Regiment of Shirkers, Captain the Lord Edmund Blackadder.
All right, settle down. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing, and Her Majesty's armed forces must change with it. Consider Britain and its position in the world today. At the beginning of the last century, just 100 years ago, Britain kept the peace in a quarter of the entire globe. The sun, as they say, never set on the British Empire. Now, what have we got? The Channel Islands. The Germans have bought Rolls-Royce. All the newsreaders are Welsh. Although that may not be relevant. And most foreigners think that the Union Jack is based on an old dress design for one of the Spice Girls. So what is to be done? Well, the answer to my mind is very simple. If we are to re-establish our position in the world, the army must return to its traditional role, the very reason for which it existed in the first place. We must invade France. No, I'm serious. Our advanced guard of mad cows has already done a superb job. And the French are in disarray. Now is the time for actual occupation. Now you may say, why France? Well, it's a very good question. But I can think of three reasons. Firstly, whenever we try to speak their language, they sneer at us and talk back to us in English. God, they are so irritating. Secondly, they deliberately won the World Cup by maliciously playing better football than us. And thirdly, simple political strategy. Look at the history books. Whenever Britain fought the French, we were top dog. For 500 years, from Agincourt to the Battle of Waterloo, Britain went from strength to strength, and gained the greatest empire the world has ever known. The minute we start getting chummy with the garlic chewers, within 3 short decades, we're buggered. Hello, obvious connection alert. So that's the secret. If Mr. Blair wants us to be at the heart of Europe, let us simply go to the heart of Europe. Gather together those submarines which don't leak, prime those rifles which do not jam, get the army to Waterloo Station, buy 55,000 tickets on the Eurostar, and invade France. Or we could just wait for the euro to drop a bit more and then simply buy the place. It's just a thought, sir. Just a thought.
Hi, I've unmuted everyone. Did most of you hear that?
Yes, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Loved it.
Yeah, I forgot to share the screen. I'm juggling here. I'm trying to learn these things and you sometimes forget, but now we'll get down to it. Okay, now I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint presentation. Let me start by not muting you all, but please try and keep the interruptions down for a while, and then I'll leave you unmuted. Because then we can have better participation. However, if we get too many distractions, then I'll have to mute you all. Okay, let's go to the PowerPoint presentation. You should be able to manage maybe a picture of me on the screen from the top of your screen. I don't think I can do it. I think you have to do it individually.
We see you.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can say speaker view at the top. If you click on speaker view, then when I'm talking, I'll be on the screen.
No. I can see you, Cecile. I can see you.
Well, you're doing.
We can see you as well. We can see you.
I can only see myself.
Go on the top of your screen and click on speaker view.
I don't see that.
Or gallery view. Speaker view.
But
gallery view. On the right-hand side at the top of your screen.
Andrew, how do we make you bigger?
Well, you click on speaker view on the right-hand side at the top of the screen. Then when I'm talking, I go bigger. But when someone else is talking, they'll go bigger.
Oh, okay.
I can only see myself, not you, in the right-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah. Well, not at the top right. Okay, look, we'll go into the, you have to play around on your screen. I don't think I could do it from this side. Okay, I'm now going to do a PowerPoint presentation. So let's share the screen again. I'm not muting you at the moment. Screen to share. PowerPoint. Hang on. Okay, you should be able to see a PowerPoint screen. We're talking about, I'm sorry, 2 people are waiting to come in. I'm going to just say admit all.
Very late.
There, you should see what we did last week. We discussed software.
See your screen.
Sorry?
I said I've got a blank screen, that's all. And I see somebody's name popping up and myself all on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't sort out your blank screen at the moment. I don't understand why you have. Do most of you manage to see a PowerPoint slides?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't sort out one. You'll have to phone either Philip, Simon, or myself after the presentation. I'm sorry about that, because I don't know the answer right now. All right.
And last week's on. Software
Yeah, that's
operator.
right. It is last week.
Okay.
What I'm just revising what we did last week. We discussed software. We discussed operating systems, which were various things like utilities, which is a fancy name for calculators and various other things, and clocks and various other things your operating system does for you. It also provides drivers, access to internet, managed programming, multitasking. We also focused on Windows because most of us use Windows. Apple use iOS, which is a different operating system. And the big thing the operating system does is help you to manage files, which is what we're going to do on today's session, files and folders. It's very, very important we understand that. So moving on to files and folders, which is today's discussion. If you can see this desk in front of you, you realize that that's not a very efficient desk normally, and you spend a lot of time searching on a desk for whatever you want, your information you want, or your calculator, or you can't find this, that, or the other, and it's a waste of time. If you're organized, it takes a bit of effort, but in the long term, it saves time. And that's the same with computers. What we're going to do, general concepts we're going to go through this morning, are files go into folders. I think you've demonstrated you all understand the difference between a file and a folder, and the files go into folders, and folders can go into folders. You generally, user file should be stored within documents. You've got, on your system, you've probably got a folder called documents, and you usually store personal files in documents. Sometimes folders are stored on the desktop. If you have very few folders, it's a convenient place to put them. But like an ordinary desktop, if you have too many folders, it becomes overwhelming. Deleted folders and files will be moved to the recycle bin. That's a temporary storage device in case you regret deleting something. When I was working, I had a drawer, and I used to call it my temporary waste paper basket, because I always found that if you threw something away within 2 days, you'd regret it. Therefore, if you haven't regretted it within 2 days, then you can throw it away. And I used to throw, if in doubt, throw away. So you have minimum paper to handle. And the same with files and folders with the recycle bin. We'll talk about the hierarchy of folders and a disciplined method for naming files. You're going to get this presentation sent to you like I did last week at the end. So if you struggle with any of it, don't worry, you will receive it. And you'll probably receive it with my notes as well. These are what files look like. You've got Excel files, the top left, Word files, a photograph of a cat down there, which is also a file. You've got videos, PDF or Adobe files, PowerPoint files, music files, and then right at the bottom right is meant to be a program file. All except program files should go in My Documents. So always store all the other ones in My Documents. Or, sorry, when I say that, photographs and music files, they have special files for that. You can store a photograph. For instance, if you've had a car accident and you decide to open a file called car accident and you have a photograph of the chap's driving license and the car and the damage, you can put that in with into a car accident folder on My Documents. But normally, if you have family photographs and things like that, you store all photographs in a photograph, special place for photographs, pictures. Those are all the different types of files. Then you have folders. And I said, do you remember directories? About, I don't know how long ago it was, MS-DOS anyway used directories, where you had directories, and then Microsoft decided to change the name to folders because they thought it was more graphically easier to understand. Rather like directories, folders can go within folders. And then you end up with a hierarchy of directories, which is, let me just, that's a hierarchy of directories where you have a folder within a folder within a folder. For instance, the files that I'm using this morning, I've written the directory name at the bottom here, and you can see files and folders, which is here, is held within computer fundamental, within fundamentals, within a computer course, within a U3A user group, within my documents, and then Andrea and users. So that is the whole directory to get to this particular folder. They're the hierarchy of folders. If, for instance, you were planning 3 holidays this year, one to Durban, one, not a bad year to plan a holiday, by the way, Durban, UK, and Mahalisburg, you can then have folders within folders. So that, for instance, I've got Kaha here, and that would be within a PC document. Oh, crikey, sorry, I must go back. Let's just go back. PC, documents, holidays, UK, Kaha. That shows you holidays, UK, Kaha. That shows you that Kaha is held within the UK within holidays. I've just, my own rules I've made up for myself, which helps me, is ideally there should be only one obvious folder for each file. If you find, oh, I don't know whether to put file for family here or whether I should put it in a correspondence file for family, then you need to work out how you can make sure you know which one you put it in. Because if it's ambiguous, then it shows that you need to rethink your folders. Store files in the most specific lowest level applicable folder. In other words, if you're talking about Kaha and for a holiday, don't store it in holidays, you store it in this folder. That's always in the lowest level folder that's the most specific. Review file systems about once per year. My file system always grows a bit like Topsy, and you have to look at your folders at the end of a year, decide which ones you're actually not using at all, and restructure to eliminate ambiguous folders, and also try and keep it as simple as possible. Naming of files. I think it's very important that you have a disciplined and consistent naming system. It's easier to find the file later, and you can keep the description of the file quite, make the description of the file so that the description itself will tell you where it is. In the olden days, when there was MS-DOS, you weren't allowed spaces in words on a file name, but now you are allowed spaces. So you can really name the file and describe it pretty fully with spaces. There are some forbidden characters, like, and I put that, the backslash is a forbidden character, and I think the / is too, because that's for directories. I personally start the name of almost every file with the format of the date. Year, month, day. It makes it very simple for me because I can never duplicate the name of a file. If I decide to write files and folders, and then I want another one called files and folders, as long as it's got a different date, it's a unique file. So I find putting a date in the file name very useful for me. I know sometimes people use version numbers to show the latest file. So the first file, you call it version 1, the next one version 2, the next one version 3. But I always find that if I have a final version, then I decide, no, I want to amend that. Then I have to have a final version, then a final version. And it gets a bit less logical. But just think about how you name files, because it is makes it easier for you. And providing you have a consistent naming convention, that's fine. And it works for you. Open File Explorer. It was previously Windows Explorer. I think they changed the name to File Explorer because of the browser being called Windows Explorer browser or something. There was confusion in the names. If I look on the taskbar, I'm just going to get out of this program. You can you see that taskbar? It's usually the first one after that. And you can see that that is the File Explorer. Okay.
Very blurred. Andrew.
Can you not see this?
I can, but it's very blurred.
Yeah, I don't know that I can do.
It's me or.
I'm not sure I can do much about that. If it's on your screen, I can't.
Yeah, it could be mine.
But that is what the icon for a File Explorer looks like in Windows 10. All the windows have slightly different ways of getting to the File Explorer. On this one, it's at the bottom of the screen and it's on the taskbar. I use it a lot. That's where it should be. Could be on the Start menu. Some of you might have a link to it on the desktop, Documents or My Documents. Some of you might have to find it under Programs, Windows System, File Explorer. But all I'm saying is probably Documents or My Documents on the desktop or on the taskbar, or at the bottom on the taskbar left-hand side. You must just find how to get to File Explorer on your computer. If you can't get to File Explorer, I suggest you contact Simon, Philip, or myself, Robin or myself, and we'll see what we can do to help you. Menus in File Explorer. I just want to show you the menus, and I'm just going to drop out of this to show you that if we go into File Explorer, these are the menus at the top. The menus you look at are Home, and those are basically these ones here. Clipboard, which is to do with cutting, copying, pasting. Organizing, which is to do with moving and renaming. And then you've got your new folder. Those are the most important things in your File Explorer, to be able to do all those operations, and you'll see their menus there. If you also look at the View folder, which is also quite important. I'm going to View folder now. You will see that you have a choice of different types of panes. I would certainly keep the navigation pane open, which is this pane here, and then Preview pane, Detailed pane. And then you can also see, I could change this to extra large icons like that, or you can have large icons, or you can have details. I always work with details. The main reason I work with details is because then I can sort columns. I can sort it alphabetically like I have now, or I can sort it by date modified, so I have the most recent file at the top. I find those two very, very useful, particularly if you're clearing things out, to sort things alphabetically or by the date modified. If you're looking for a file, it's probably one of your recent files, so if you get your recent ones to the top, like I have now, so I've got the 3rd of May at the top and the 24th of October at the bottom. So if you have it in detailed view, it's very easy to sort. So I would suggest you do that. Now let's go back to this menus. I think I've covered columns and sorting in File Explorer. I talked about the navigation pane. That's the one on the left. Previous pane, upper level, directory in address bar. I'm just going to go back and show you this. I've talked about columns and sorting by columns. Let me just go back, hang on. I'm just going to go back to this one here. I also, if you look here, this is the address bar, and you can see that this is the directory that I talked about before. Files and folders is held within fundamentals, which is held within U3A computer course, which is held within that one, which is held within that one. That gives you the whole directory to the particular one you're looking at, which is a Blackadder. And then you can you can go upper level, which means it then takes you to fundamentals, which is quite useful. And then you can go up to computer course, and here you can go back to previous screens. So you can juggle between your different screens on File Explorer. This, I've told you, is the navigation pane. Okay. And then we'll go down to here. You can select, we've talked about this before. Select one file or folder, click on folder or file with the left mouse button. That's very easy to select. Select contiguous. Contiguous is a fancy computer name for adjacent files or folders. Click on first, press Shift key and click on last file or folder. If they're all lying together, then you can do that. Select multiple non-contiguous files or folders. You use the Control key. That applies in a lot of areas, whether you're in Excel, Word. It's the same principles of selecting. I'm just going to go back here. If I click on that one, then I've selected it. If I press my Shift key, which I'm going to do now, I'm pressed it. You can't see me doing it, but I press the Shift key. Hang on. Oh. Let's just have a look. There you are. Then it collects everything between the first and the last one. So if I collect Shift key, it does it. And if I want to do individual ones, I press the Control key. And I haven't tried this, but if you press Control A, it selects them all. Why Control A is useful is because you're trying to clean out something in Gmail or something, and you want all the files within a certain folder. You just press Control A and it should help you to clear it out. It makes working with files and folders a lot quicker. Okay, I'm going back to the PowerPoint presentation. Now, well, we talked about renaming, deleting files and folders. You can see where the delete is here. That's the deleting one. Moving folders and files. You can either drag and drop, or you can home tab, you select move to, or cut or copy. Whichever suits you. I would suggest you just stick with the one that you feel comfortable with. I won't highly recommend one over the other. Shortcuts. Shortcuts are something that one should try and get your mind around. A shortcut is not actually a file, a big file. All it is an indicator to where the file is located. So here I've described it. If you copy a file into a second location, you would have to maintain version control. Supposing you have a file on Excel spreadsheets, and then you have another file on scheduling for your holiday, and you do it in Excel, and you copy it into both places, then you cause confusion, because when you change the one file, you won't change the other one, and you won't remember which is the later file. So I really recommend that you don't store files, similar files that you're altering in different places. If you're not altering the file, say like this video I showed at the beginning, and I'm not going to alter it, then it doesn't matter so much. If you're altering a file, don't store it in two different places. Use a shortcut. How to use, you can, if you access a folder or use a file frequently, you can install a shortcut on the desktop. If you do that, then you just click on it and it'll take you straight to the file. You saw this morning when I showed you Blackadder, that is actually a shortcut because I keep all my videos in one place. So at the end of the course, I can cut a video for you all, and I don't have to go through every single lesson to try and find out and assemble the video. So I keep all the videos in one place and I just use a shortcut. Okay. How to make shortcuts. I'm just going to, I think this is quite complicated, so I'm not going to take you through this now, but let me just show you. go back to here, and I'll just say, supposing I wanted a shortcut to this folder called obsolete, I just right-click on it, and you see that one of the options, it doesn't say, yeah, I'm just trying to see. There, now, one of the options is create shortcut. And if I say create shortcut, notice that I've now got a shortcut created here. That's useless having it here, but I can now cut and copy it to anywhere I wanted to. So I can cut and paste it onto the desktop, or I can cut and paste it anywhere else. Another one is if I do here and I say send to desktop create shortcut, I go like this, and then I hope, I haven't tried this, let's just hope that this, no, you can't see this because it's on my other screen, I'm afraid, but my shortcut is now on the other screen. Now I need to get back to my PowerPoint. Here we are. So you can make shortcuts by right-clicking and then create shortcuts, or send to, and you can send a shortcut to your desktop. It makes it faster to access them. Default folders in File Explorer. You have these typical sections: quick access, which enables you to get to folders quicker. And I can show you here. For instance, I've got files and folders here. If I go to computer course, it takes me there, and it works out where I want to go most frequently. So I find quick access very, very useful. I can get to files and folders. Then you have OneDrive, where you can store things offline. I know Simon's going to talk about OneDrive next week quite a lot, because he's going to talk about cloud storage. And OneDrive means that these things are automatically stored by Microsoft offline on one of their servers. I don't like the term cloud particularly, because it gives you visions of it's up in the air. It's actually very definite, and it's on a server. And then you've got this PC, which is where you access all the things on your PC. So if you click on PC, it gives you a total picture of all the different folders and the volumes you've got. Okay, now I should bear in mind that this PC really stores your files and folders in concrete form. Libraries, hang on, I've just got to admit someone. Libraries, which you get in Windows 7 and 8, they seem to have disappeared in Windows 10, are links to various files and folders here. OneDrive is also, you probably link it to a file or folder in here, and then you've got the PC. It's actually, you should remember that these are all links apart from this. These are your definite files and folders. You can, which I didn't mention before, you can always remove something from quick access. If I go to quick access, for instance, and I decide that one I want to, well, you can't remove that one, but I could remove files and folders and say unpin from quick access. It does nothing to the original file or folder. The only time it does is when you delete something from here. Quick access is just links to different files. And I think OneDrive, as far as I know, is also just a copy of a file or folder that's here. Okay, let's just go here. I'm just seeing how the time, yeah, finding files and folders. All of us need to look for files and folders. Usually the best place to look is in recent files. If I decide I want a recent Word document, if I open Word now, you should be able to see that. And then I say File, Open. You notice that I've got all the recent documents here. I've got the pinned documents at the top, the unpinned documents, which I could talk about, and then you've got older ones here. And so you can usually find, if it's been a recent document, It's very easy to find it using these recent things. And the same, you can click on folders and it gives you the recent folders you've used. So it's really a powerful way of finding them. Let's close that one. Look in the folders where you've saved the file. If you remember where you saved the file, then obviously you go to that folder and see what you can do. And the other one is the search facility box, which is down here. If you click on that, it gives you a place where you can type whatever you're looking for. So if I type files, crikey, files, I'm afraid it's gone on my other screen, and folders. And yeah, you can see, let's just move it. And then you can see, you can search general file flora options, but it has cancelled that. But all I'm saying is you can search for it very well. And rather like Google, it has a fantastic search facility, and you can find folders that you used a long time ago, and you can even find text within a document. So if you know what you wrote in something a year ago, and you typed out more or less a sentence, it will try and find that sentence within another document. Okay, and I'm just going to summarize now what we've done. Use File Explorer for organizing your files. I know some people have used Word and Excel, and Word and Excel within the Open can do a lot of things, but it has the disadvantage that you can only, Word usually only displays Word files, Excel only Excel files. Establish a hierarchy of folders and disciplines for file names. Learn how to select single and multiple files and folders. Learn how to create, rename, move, and delete folders. Learn how to rename, move, and delete files. And I'm just saying, just do it. Improvements can always be made later. You cannot be perfect the first time you do it, but the good news is any mistake you make, you will be able to recover from. Even if you delete a file, you will be able to get it restored from the recycle bin. The only thing you won't ever be able to recover from is if you delete everything in your recycle bin. But apart from that, you can recover almost anything. So take your courage in both hands and just start somewhere and then improve as you go along. Because if you don't do that, if you wait until you're perfect, the bad news is you'll probably never start. Okay, are there any questions?
Yes, I just want to make sure that what is the difference? How do I make a folder versus how do I make a file? If I go to my inbox and I press, I think I get a file. But then where do I find to make a folder?
A folder in your inbox. Are you on Gmail or are you on Outlook?
Outlook.
Yeah, I haven't discussed emails on this course at the moment, but let me see if I can do. But a folder on Outlook. A folder on Outlook, you can, again, I'm just trying to think there. I usually right click, but I'm just seeing if there is a thing
on the inbox.
I'm not on the inbox. I'm just on anything. If you look on the navigation screen on the left and you right click, it'll give you an option to make a folder, rename new folder there. That's on Outlook. I should warn you, Gmail doesn't use files and folders. Gmail has a brilliant system, but they use what they call labels, which has the same effect, but Gmail use labels. So don't get confused and think that Gmail uses folders. It uses labels, which is a different...
I want to know, how do I make a folder versus how do I make a file?
How do you make a, sorry?
How do I make a folder and how do I make a file?
A file. In Outlook, you don't make files. You store emails within folders.
Oh, okay. So when I make there and I say Andrew, it is a folder.
If you click here, for instance, let me just say, if I click here and I make a new folder, then it will make a new folder where I can store emails. But you don't store files within Outlook. You store emails within Outlook.
Now, if I want a folder on my documents, how do I make it?
If you want a folder on your documents, you go into File Explorer, which I've just, sorry, you can't see it now. And then you have to, you right click on the folders in the navigation pane, or you can right click here. Let me just show you share screen. Hang on, let me show you here.
Navigation.
Can you see, you can see my screen now, can you? If
Yes.
I wanted to make another folder, I could just click here and I would say new folder like that. And it makes a folder here, and then I rename the folder.
Okay, so that is now my documents, and then you just right click on a blank and it can make a new folder.
You can, yes.
Okay, and now how do I make a file for that?
A file is when you've written a Word document. You don't make a file. When you make a Word document or an Excel document, that's a file.
And when I put it in the folder, that is the file.
Then you put the file into the folder when you need it. You use it's a bit like asking me, how do you make an electricity bill? You don't make an electricity bill, it arrives and then you put it into a folder.
Okay, now thank you, Andrew. That worried me for a long time, but not for the emails and the Outlook, but when I do it from Word to a document, so the folder, so now I know. Thank you very much.
And we will be covering email in depth later on in the course, so we will be talking about how you do things in email. But what I was talking about today was only about folders in File Explorer. I wasn't talking about folders in Outlook, though the concept is very similar, and Gmail, the concept is very different. So whatever you do, if you use Gmail, don't use folders as your concept, it won't work.
No,
I talk from bitter experience because I started Gmail. I've got both Outlook and Gmail, and I thought they'd be the same, and it resulted in confusion in my mind. So don't think of folders when you're using Gmail.
Now, I've got Gmail, but I won't use it.
All right. All right.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
We're about to go. Next week, Simon is going to be giving the course. He's going to be talking about backup and cloud storage. Are you there, Simon? I don't know if he's there. Simon?
Yes, I am. Here he is.
There you are. I was just saying you'll be talking about backup and cloud storage. I must say, I got confused with cloud storage because I looked up in the sky and looked at the clouds and I wonder how they could store things. But Simon will...
Andrew?
Yes?
Andrew, Betty?
Yes.
Andrew, I didn't get a copy of your talk last week. I don't know why.
I'm very surprised you didn't, unless you're not on the list. I can't quite see who it is. Would you mind sending me an email and saying that? I will check if I sent it to you. I'll also send it to you again. So will you send me an email? And then I'll check whether your email and your name is on my distribution list. Because you certainly should have got one. I'm sure all the rest of you got one, didn't you?
Yes.
And I'm just one thing, because we're doing it online, I send out perhaps a bit too much information.
No,
so please,
no, it helped us a lot.
Yeah, just ignore something if you think it's at too detailed a level, please, because as I say, I think, like today, I think I've gone through it very fast, and you'll need some backup information so that you can learn what you want to learn. Okay.
Please, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Be safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Andrew.
Bye.
See you next week, same time.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.